I'm Heather from Hia Booktubes, and today is my Summer Fling Wrap Up. I have no makeup on. I'm a hot mess, such is life. I wasn't able to film this on my regular filming day because I wasn't done with the last book yet. And it's been a busy day, and I didn't feel like putting makeup on, and here we are. So, number 1, Down Home Country. For this, I picked Something About That Boy by Lynn Vale. It takes place in Texas. It's a high school king having to switch schools. I vaguely remember now. It's not available at my library, and it's not available on Kindle Unlimited, so I don't know why it was on my TBR list. When I saw that, I no longer had enough of a desire to read it to go ahead and buy the book, so that was a no-go. Such is life. Moving right along. Next was Big City Life. For this, I picked the rival Roomies, which is the Rooftop Crew number 3 by Piper Rayne. I did start this book. It was available at my library, and I wasn't that interested. I didn't like the setup. She's like doing things that her overbearing parents are making her do, even though she's in college, and like she can't say no to them. And there's a bunch of points of view from like other couples and other friends, and I just didn't care about them or know who they were or have any interest. I just honestly decided it wasn't the style I wanted to read, so I quickly quit it. I'm back. My children were being bad. Shocker. So, anyhow, this is not a reflection on the book. It's probably perfectly good. It just wasn't what I wanted. Next is An Author of Color. For this, I picked Let Me Show You, which is number 3 in the McClain Brothers by Alexandria House. I really like Alexandria House. I gave this book 4 stars. Nolan McClain is the smart one. Obviously, you see him featured in the first 2 brothers books. He ends up getting with the best friend of the first brother's wife, and she has been around the family. She's an actress. He gives her a part in a movie. He's doing his first director's role, and he's an investor, and he runs their nightclub and all sorts of things. And it was really sweet and cute. I liked it. He treated her amazing. She was good to him. What's not to love? Next was Hot and Spicy. For this, I picked Yes Daddy by Dani Wyatt. I gave this book 2 stars. It was highly predictable. It was not super well done. It was just very basic, honestly. There was a bunch of little play, which I don't enjoy in my daddy books. Like, it's not for me. This is the one where he hits her with his car, and that's how they meet. And that was the highlight of the book. The plot was very predictable. What you think is going to happen from the first page is what happened. So, yeah. Next was Dark and Dangerous. For this, I picked Crowed, which is Team Zero at number 2 by Rina Kent. I gave this 4 stars. I already knew the big plot twist, so I don't know exactly how I would have felt about this book if I didn't know the big plot twist. I feel like I might have liked it less if I didn't know. She wants death. She has nothing to live for. An assassin shows up at her door and can't kill her, but if he doesn't kill her, he's gonna end up dead. So, and so will she. So, it's a conundrum. What are you gonna do? Spoiler alert, they live. They live and love. Next was Sweet and Clean. For this, I picked The Baker's Guide to Risky Rituals, which was Sweet Pea Mysteries number 1 by Kathryn Moon. I was bored, and I DNF'd at like 18%. I was really bored. I don't even know. It's like bakers and knitting and a Hell's Demons motorcycle club, like full of actual hell demons. I wasn't that interested. I do think this is one of her earlier books. I have really enjoyed a couple of her more recent books, so I was bored, but it might be perfect for you. Next, I have Road Trip Prompt, Red Ball Peen Hammer, which is Morgan Brothers number 3 by Lauren Rowe. This is a male stripper and a film student on a road trip to go see their siblings. I didn't love the beginning. The humor wasn't really for me, and there's like a lot of, I mean, not a lot, but there's like some waiting around. Like there's a minute before they even meet, and I skipped some of that. I'm not gonna lie to you. But it's like a 23-year-old and a 21-year-old, and the 23-year-old is all like, I'm not ready for a girlfriend, but I'm falling in love, but I'm not falling in love because I'm not ready for a girlfriend. I was just like, oh my gosh, can we get it together, sir? But that being said, it was sweet, it was charming, it was still a good book. I gave it 4 stars. It's just not my ideal setup or pacing, I guess. Next was Friends to Lovers. For this, I picked Jagged, which is Colorado Mountain. Number 5 by Kristen Ashley. Turns out I've already read this book and hadn't marked it as read on Goodreads. And then, again, at a later date, put it on my to-read shelf on Goodreads because that's what I do when I don't mark books, which is why since January 1st, I've been faithfully marking the books that I read. It was a good book, even though I can't remember reading it. Zara knew that Ham was the one, and Ham wasn't ready to commit. Zara gets married to somebody else. 3 years later, she's divorced, she needs help, yada yada. Ham has always been there for her, and they make a go of it. And of course, it's delightful and a wonderful time. But I apparently read this a while ago. Next, we have Diversity. I read I Think I Might Love You by Christina C. Jones. I gave this book 5 stars. It is a rom-com novella, and our main character is a walking disaster, and our hero is trying to stay out of her way. There's a few different, disasters that happen, quite a few debacles. There's one scene that I personally find a lot grosser than funny, but it was a funny book. It was a sweet romance. I will definitely read more by this author completely soon. I will read more. Next was Disability Wrap. For this, I read Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. It's the first in the Brown Sisters series, and I gave this book 5 stars. It was really good. I really cared about the characters. Chloe has a brush with death and decides to live. Through that, she meets Red. Red is kind of feisty with her, but he's like so nice. He's nice to everybody. And Chloe, she wants to be independent, and she's very proud, right? Because when you have a chronic illness, obviously a lot of times people treat you differently, and even kindness can kind of push your buttons because of your everyday issues. But really loved the characters, really enjoyed them. I liked how they got together. The final conflict I kind of could have done without, but still sweet. Great book, highly recommend. 5 stars. Next was Old School Historical, which I fudged and picked Poland, the Solace of Fantasy Romance, which is To Curie Brides number 1 by Denali Day. I hated this book so much. I wish I had DNF'd it. Now, let me throw out for you right here. It was not a badly written book. It was well written, which is part of why I continued it. I'm going to tell you the reasons that I didn't like it, and if those reasons don't sound like something you would dislike, then this might be a really good book for you. So the Dragon Riders, they basically pick a bride, claim a bride, that bride is theirs. That is part of their culture, that's part of their setup. They actually protect the rest of the world from the creatures in the mountain, and part of their due is they get a bride. So he picks this noble lady who is actually on her way to fulfill a marriage contract to save her house. And she spends the whole book trying to get back home and fighting it, and she can't fall in love with him, and she has a duty, and yada yada yada. And it's like, okay, I did not agree with her reasons. And part of that is I'm not into the self-sacrifice thing. Gets on my nerves when people do it. But also it was like, are you really gonna save everybody, or is that just what you think? Okay, all right, so 75%, 80%, we've made it through the book. She's finally on board, right? She's given in. She loves him too, after making a fool of herself a bajillion times trying to get away. And then the part of the book where we should get some happiness, no, we don't get happiness. No, she gets captured again. One of the brothers gets devastating things happening to him, and the other brothers are already not happy. This was the only happy brother, and now he's sad and everything's terrible. And then the main character and the hero both get maimed. they got maimed. Like, they're never gonna, yeah. They're never gonna be whole again. And I didn't like it. I did not like it at all. There was like zero happiness in this book. I was like, I understand you're 18. I understand you're naive to the world. I understand all the things, but like, can we not? Can we just not? Then yeah, the whole maiming thing I really didn't like. So I gave this book 2 stars. The writing was good, but I hated it and I don't want to read anything like it again. So I couldn't justify giving it more stars. Hated it. Not gonna lie to you. So many things that I hate in books wrapped up into one. Lastly, we have category romance. For this, I picked Betting on Fate, which is number 4 in the Serve series by Katie Robert. The other 2 of the books are by Katie Robert and 2 of the books are by Tessa Bailey. So Penelope loves to steal clients from Will, and they make a bet, and whoever loses will be the other's submissive for a week. Penelope loses. It turns out she is in fact a switch, so she enjoys being a dominant or submissive to the right person. And I enjoyed reading about that. I enjoyed the way it was represented, and I gave it 4 stars. It was not as great as some of the other Katie Robert books that I have read, but it was still really good. And like I said, I did enjoy the switch element and how that was handled and appreciated and not just kind of brushed off once she was this guy's submissive. So I liked that. That's all the books that were on my TBR. I am not good with TBRs. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't enjoy TBRs. I like the idea of them. I do. But then as soon as I'm like, hey, you should read this book, I'm like, no. I think I'm good. I think I want to read something completely different. So that's a struggle, but because this read-along was an entire month long, I was able to go for it. Not all of them turned out exactly as I had hoped, but I read some really good books, so I'm glad that I participated. Thank you to Sarah for hosting this. It was fun. I'd love to hear how yours went, and I'll see you again soon. Thanks. Bye.